All right, everybody ready to go? We will call the meeting to order of the Public Outreach Committee. And I'm not sure if we take a roll call here first to make sure we've got a quorum. Don, are you on?
I'm on.
You mind taking a roll?
Okay, Mayor Dardis.
Here.
Mr. Van Amberg. Mr. Wayland. Mr. Gust.
Here.
Ms. Mastel.
Here.
Mr. Pollock.
Here.
Mr. Campbell. Mr. Steen.
Here.
Mr. Olson.
Here.
Ms. Carlson.
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Strand. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Don. With that, let's get this meeting going. We've all had a chance to review the minutes and looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the September 30th, 2020 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Dardis, I so move.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Jake seconds.
Motion is second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The next item, outreach activities review. And I guess at this point, Rocky, I'm going to turn it over to you. And if you want to turn it over to somebody else, just go ahead and get her done.
Okay, thanks, Rick. We're all sharing one virtual screen here, so just a reminder to mute and unmute if you want to talk. I'm sure we're all curious who has the pet bird in the background. But
unfortunately, that is me, and I volunteered to chair, so I apologize for that.
Okay, good. Now we know the culprit. But anyways, it's a good reminder to mute it until you're ready to talk, because you never know what you're going to get. And if I get a crying 3-year-old or a barking dog, I apologize for that. So, get the meeting started today. I'm Rocky Schneider with AE2S. Thanks for making it work with our new system here. It sounds like we're going to be doing virtual meetings through the end of the year. We have done some practice on a slightly different Teams format where there's a sort of a presentation line and a public line, if you will, for participants. We might switch to that next month to kind of just clarify roles a little bit more. But otherwise, it shouldn't really change the format for anybody. So thanks. Wanted to update on legislative topics first. There's been some action lately. We had the Water Topics Overview Committee in Fargo in late September, I think, as we updated last month. And then in early October, Joel was at the State Water Commission meeting. There's a lot that went on at the State Water Commission. If you've been following news in North Dakota, the Resources Trust Fund, which funds water projects in the state, has really been decimated, I guess would be the word I'd use, for a few months. It's starting to rebound, but their revenue projections are far below where they expect it to be. So they've asked every water project in the state to defer money or to reallocate money to a future time, if possible. I think Joel took a look at the books and thought we could defer $22.5 million from our 2019 legislative appropriation to a future time. So this is a graphic we came up with to kind of show a lot of information, how much we've spent to date versus what is our state balance there, with the $287 million spent to date, $83 million balance in the state right now that we have ability to spend. You can see the 2019 funds are what ended up getting approved in October, the $44 million. So it was a reduction from the 66.5. And so that leaves us with $335.5 million of future legislative intent they've already approved, but that we have to still go request. And right now, our request looks like it'll be $66.5 million. That's subject to change when we get P3 bids in. And of course, those that have been around, the $120 million at the top there is, I guess, the gap from what we had asked for last session to what we ended up getting in total commitment. So we, at this time, expect to still ask for that as well. Of course, with the P3 bids coming in spring, late spring probably, that all could change. But I wanted to give you an update. It was really good news, I think, at the Water Commission. We got $44 million, which was the first cost share request they'd approved in about 6 months. In addition to that, we got some new terms on our contract that really allows a little bit more flexibility in our financial plan and our spending that allows us to reimburse for costs that otherwise we had not been able to reimburse for. So I don't know if there's any questions on the legislative topic, or otherwise I'm just going to keep rolling for a second here. Questions? Was the CLOMR was approved in early September. This is from FEMA. It's the conditional letter of map revision. The CLOMR, just as a reminder, really does two things. One, for the benefited area, it's us showing FEMA what we anticipate the floodplain changes to be. And so obviously on the protected side, that's a very good thing. It shows that areas that were in the floodplain will no longer be in the floodplain. And also subsequently on the other side of the dam, it does show where there's additional impacts. And FEMA really sort of, this is the best guarantee they have or insurance they give us that if we build the project like we say we're going to, it will have the intended changes to the floodplain. So at the end of the project, then we file for a LOMR, just a letter of map revision to make it all final, and then the changes happen. So this is good news for the flood insurance worries out there on the benefited side. On the upstream side, it really gives us a positive snapshot in time in which we can apply both states and federal regulatory standards to the areas. And so on the map there, you'll see 4 different shades in the upstream area. Obviously, you can see a lot of the more orange area, and then there's a slight green area on the North Dakota side and a purple area. And then on the Minnesota side, there's an additional pink area. And there's different requirements on each of those as far as property rights that need to be acquired. But it also gives a really good outreach opportunity to reach out to all of the upstream property owners. So you'll see there that a mailing went out to Minnesota and North Dakota. I think in total it ended up being a little over 350 different property owners for about twice that many properties itself. But a lot of properties are owned by the same folks, and so it went out to a little over 350 people with information about their individual property, with an impact map, as we've called it, that show how these 4 different zones impact their property. Also, it provided them with a contact information for a land agent that's been assigned to their property. So it allows them to start taking the next steps in the property acquisition timeline and really get more personal data than just looking at overall maps. They can work with somebody on an individual basis. In addition to the individual mailings, I think 14 letters were sent out to local government units. So that's the townships and the cities upstream, and with an offer or request to meet with their local government at an upcoming meeting. I believe we've held 2 of those, or we've been invited to 2 different meetings to date since we put those out. We're hoping over the next several weeks that Joel and others will have the opportunity to attend other local governments and really talk about what's going on with the project and what that means for their area. Another letter that's going out is, we call it the non-impacted letter. We have chosen to send a much more abbreviated letter, but it would go to all those townships. So you're looking at the page there, it goes to Walcott, to Wolverton, to Holy Cross, and to Pleasant Township. And it would basically say, project has changed in your area, here's where you can find more information. And so figuring neighbors are interested and there is changes in the township area, and so we want people to stay informed and have access to the information. But this is a big news. It took a long time to get to this point, so we were excited to reach this milestone, and I'd answer any questions on it if you had any.
Any questions for Rocky? Carry on.
Thank you. A communications plan. Wanted to give you all an update. We are still sitting on the draft. I know Joel is planning to bring a director of communications on board, hoping for a November 1 timeframe. I know originally that was October 1, and so we probably have blown our schedule a little bit because we really want to incorporate the vision of the new communications director into this plan, and we don't want to pass a plan that then is inconsistent with the views there or the vision. So this will probably sit for another month until we can start incorporating the new staff members' ideas and really get a buy-in on that as well. So I anticipate at this time anyways to bring it back to ask for a recommendation from this body to go to the board at the December meeting. I think, the new communications director, we want to make sure they have time to review this fully. So there's still time to also, for any of you as well, if anyone else wants to add comments to it, but that's why we're sort of delayed a month from our original intention. No questions on that. Communications analytics, again, we do this on a monthly basis. We've added Facebook to our analytics as well. As you'll see, you can see Mayor Dardis's shining face there as our top tweet of that month in September. I think we're getting a lot more activity with the construction underway, and I think that's a great thing. That's what we've always hoped to be at sort of this phase of the project. And I think we're pretty well widespread now on the different mediums, and each captures a different population. So I think we're doing what we intended to do, and we're not seeing any one area falling off. And so that's important too. I think as things start to go up or down, as different usage changes, that we have the analytics to look back and say, okay, what's trending? Where are people spending their time? But there's more data. I think it was emailed out. I emailed out everybody the links to different analytics that go into a little more detail than this slide does. And so we're constantly looking at that data to really judge the next recommendation or next decision. And there's our Facebook analytics. Slowly increasing. Appreciate everybody on the committee for liking and sharing this and continuing to engage on it, because that's how it pops up in other people's feeds, as if you like or share or comment. We are very active, probably more active than we needed to be the first month to try to really get it going. We did do a podcast, and we promoted that helped get reach 11,000 people and over 400 engagements on a couple $100 boost that we did to that, to trying to sample the ad market there and see if that would help engagement. And I think the 340 likes is low for where we'd like to be. So I think there's it's only been up for a little over a month now, so I think there's a lot of room to grow there yet. So we're hoping that we can see climb continuously here through the winter. We did get engagement from General Holland, which was kind of neat to see when she was out here. That's always helpful to have our leaders that probably have a wider audience to really promote the page as well. One of the things that has been popular is the monthly flyover of the construction sites. This might be the last month we do that. We'll see what progress gets made over this next month, but obviously the weather's turned on us a little bit here. I was going to try to show these, but I know last time we tried this over the internet, it was choppy for a lot of people. And so it's unfortunate that our virtual nature doesn't allow for the streaming of videos very well. We think we have a way that can help with that if we change the way the Teams presents on these, but we need some more practice on that. And we didn't have a lot of time to switch to a virtual nature. So please watch the links that were emailed out to everybody. It really is a lot of progress going on. And one update as I have this up is last month we had talked about doing a tour of the site, and for the board and committee members here, we have put that tour on hold given the change in COVID levels and the mandates in Fargo. We're just trying to figure out the right way to do that, and loading on a bus didn't seem like the responsible decision right now. And so we just want to pause to see how we can make sure we do that safely. We're still hoping to get that done this year before the weather turns too much, but wanted to let the committee know, because I know last month that was an interest. So unfortunately, we're press pause, like I think the world has on a lot of things. Any questions on the tour or the construction videos?
Not hearing any, Rocky.
So a couple things coming up: the Wild Rice River Control Structure concrete pour. Tammy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that pour just happened when you were out there. Is that Is that
It
right?
happened on Monday morning, and they have another pour today, actually this morning.
So that's exciting. You know, the inlet structure, which I think a lot of people have seen, is a pretty big structure, but the wild rice structure is bigger, and so the concrete really, starts making it look like a real structure. And I think we get a lot of promotion from that, or make sure people see it because it's along the interstate system. And so, thousands of cars a day probably go by it, and as it starts to take shape, I think the eyes of the public that this project is real and moving forward and construction's happening. I think that's all very positive for the project and good momentum. So it's exciting to see. Talked about the tour a little bit. Another focus coming up in the next couple of months with the election here 2 weeks away. We always end up with a host of new or newly engaged anyways elected officials, and we try to make sure we get to them before the legislative sessions start. And if any state or federal officials change hands, we make sure to get to them and update them on the project and any requests that we have going in there. And so we usually try to target the November, December timeframe, which is always tricky with holidays, but it's an important time for government affairs for sure. Holiday lights display. Those who saw this last year, we had a display in the Lindenwood. Tried to be part of the community. This is an action that we're taking again this year. Joel approved a display. It's going to be a slightly different display this year. We still have a lit up map of the project, but we also have tried, after some comments last year, to incorporate more of a holiday theme into it. So we encourage everybody. We'll send out the information once that starts here in a couple weeks. It's down at Lindenwood Park, and it's a neat little community event that helps the different nonprofits out. I guess, unfortunately, these virtual meetings aren't great for discussion, but we are always looking for other ideas and what you're hearing out in your neck of the woods. So if anybody has any comments, I'd sure appreciate them.
Say, Rocky, this is Rick. You mentioned the fact that we may be able to get these construction video updates up and running somehow on Teams yet, once we get better at it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. I was thinking we have time.
Well, I was going to say we have time. Is there, you want to take a test run at us? With one
Sure.
of those videos?
Yeah, let me just pulling it up here. Give me a quick second. I know one of the issues that I'm not familiar with yet is how to get the sound to broadcast through. I know how to stream the video, but the sound won't be there. But let me.
It's just music.
I could hum along if that.
Please don't.
Yeah. No. 1 second.
I see Ken and Jake.
Okay, let's try this, and if it's too choppy, I won't play the other one, but it's 3 minutes long. This is the diversion inlet and control structure just south of Horace, flown on Monday.
Well, look pretty good on my end.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Well, why don't I try the other one here?
That'd be great. I do miss the music though.
It's catchy. Well, good. I'm glad that worked okay.
Well, yeah, thanks, Rocky. If you can figure out the music for next time, that'd be great. If there are any more videos. Before executive director update, Rocky, anything further or any suggestions for Rocky for November and December's meetings at this point? Hearing none. Executive director update. Joel, I'm assuming you're on. That
It doesn't look like Joel is on.
I just looked. It doesn't look like he's on either. So Rocky, maybe you want to do the executive director's update.
Well, I know he's busy. Been really busy the last couple weeks preparing for the executive session tomorrow. So those on the board will have to wait, I guess, until then. I know I was kind of hoping he'd update just on next steps, but we'll wait to hear from him.
Okay. Anything else, Rocky?
No, unless anybody else has anything, we rely on you committee members to tell us what's going on in your areas of the world. So feel free to chime in if you have anything. So.
Any input or feedback from committee members?
Nothing for me.
All right. Hearing none, we'll adjourn. Thank you.